Hey guys, Luke Wilson here. Got another early offseason outlook for you. Let's talk about Chase Brown. This is going to be an easy case to make, but just real quick, recap on Chase Brown's 2023 for the not fully initiated yet. So Chase Brown was kind of an under-the-radar prospect coming out of college last year. He does go for almost 1,900 total yards in his final season in college, but it's for Eastern Illinois, not really a top rung program that he played most of his college ball at. So he really wasn't on a lot of guys' radars. He certainly wasn't on mine until he went to the scouting combine last spring and just completely blew it up. 4.43 40, has the strongest vertical and broad jumps of any running back in the class, and winds up posting like a 9.81 relative athletic score out of 10. It's like the 35th best since they started tracking this data back in 1987 for any running back. So that really got my attention. I went back and I started looking at some of his tape, and I just really liked what I saw from this guy. That didn't have ideal size. He was definitely undersized at around 200 pounds, maybe a touch under, but he was powerful for his size, very decisive in the open field, seemingly excellent field vision, just knew exactly where to go with the ball at really all levels of the field to maximize yardage. And yes, for a smaller guy, incredibly strong, seldom went down on first contact, elite balance, and he looked pretty smooth. As a receiver out of the backfield, you have to hesitate throwing around like Christian McCaffrey comparisons, but just the instinctiveness of how he moved with the ball, it was hard not to be impressed. Now, that's all well and good, but Chase Brown doesn't really do anything in his rookie season. He's not really involved with the offense at all until week 13 at Jacksonville, which is when the Bengals are already deep into their no Joe Burrow, plan B, plan C version of this offense. And yeah, while they were still technically in the playoff hunt with Jake Browning doing his best to hold things together, they clearly were inclined to take a longer look at Chase Brown, and he mostly excused himself. He did look good, but also lots of running backs look good operating as a change of pace back, so big whoop. There's lots of good running backs out there that just don't have enough opportunity. What makes Chase Brown any different? Up until very recently, nothing. But now it's becoming very clear that Joe Mixon's days in Cincinnati are finally well and truly numbered. And it looked like that was the case last summer. So let's not forget, Joe Mixon had a bit of a misunderstanding, a bit of a kerfuffle at his home at a birthday party last year that very nearly brought about the end of his time in Cincinnati right then. So between that and some of Joe Mixon's other past difficulties off the field, it certainly looked like maybe the Bengals were ready to move on. Bengals Vice President of Player Development, Katie Blackburn, was actually interviewed last summer about the Bengals' plans for Joe Mixon in 2023. And the strongest endorsement that she could summon was, well, right now he's there, and we're going to plan like that until something different would happen for whatever reason. Unfortunately for Chase Brown believers, nothing different did happen with Mixon last summer. Mixon seemed to read the tea leaves accurately and realize that if he didn't restructure and take a pay cut, he wasn't going to be a starter for the Cincinnati Bengals anymore. He wasn't going to be a Bengal, period. So he did that. He took the pay cut that allowed him to stay in Cincinnati through 2023, and he wound up having a very strong season in fantasy. At 1,400 total yards, 12 touchdowns, finishes as like the running back 5 or 6, depending on your scoring, is his second best season ever in fantasy football. Of course, it was also another deeply inefficient season for Mixon. Mixon, who has 7 years of NFL experience, is coming off of his 6th season, averaging less than 4.15 yards per carry. That's just not good enough anymore. And whether it's that, or the Bengals just realizing that they're paying this guy too much, or wanting to save $6 million against the salary cap right now, or all of the above, doesn't really matter. Mixon's days in Cincinnati are clearly numbered, and Chase Brown figures to inherit the keys to the kingdom here, or have a very, very good chance to. The Bengals have no other running back of consequence anywhere near their roster right now. And sure, yes, they're not going to go into the NFL regular season or even into preseason with only Chase Brown as a viable option here. But he is primed to be the 1A in this backfield, and that creates value that if you can go jump on it right now, could create major value and be a major win for your dynasty team. The problem is that you have to go act now, like right now, like pause this video and go start sending trade offers right now, okay? I had hoped that I'd have a little more time to get this video out before this news started to come down the pipeline, so sorry. But yeah, you gotta go jump on this right now or you're gonna miss the boat. You can still still get Chase Brown for something in the vicinity of like a late second round pick. Maybe you go ahead and bump that up to a middle second round pick, sending trade offers like right now, today. It is that urgent. And really, frankly, that price point wouldn't have been ideal, but even without it recently becoming clear that Joe Mixon's days in Cincinnati are basically finished, I wouldn't have hated that value because I like Chase Brown's prospects intermediate term, even long term in the NFL. But yeah, with Joe Mixon clearly phasing out of the picture very soon, I love it. I think Chase Brown is for real. The Bengals seem to think Chase Brown is for real. And if he is eating at the head of the table in this Bengals offense for even like the next 2 years, that's worth every bit of that second round pick that you're sending to go get Chase Brown right now. Now in redraft, that's a whole other kettle of fish. With this Mixon news, by the time we're drafting for redraft in 2024, his price tag will have inflated quite a bit. He'll probably be going around where like Alexander Madison was in drafts last year, maybe even higher, because again, we really like the player. Madison, we didn't so much like the player, we like the offense. Brown, we like the player and the offense, so I don't know. I mean, he's probably primed to be potentially overdrafted in redraft leagues later this summer, but that reiterates the value in him right now for something like a second round pick. What are you still doing here? Chase Brown is a buy, okay? Go.